Well, hello everybody and welcome back to round number 2 of the Force India career mode then. A pretty good race first time out, some really decent points in 9th place. Still a little bit disappointed that we didn't take 7th, but you can't have it all in your opening race. Hopefully in China we can get another few points on the board. So we're still waiting for the upgrades to the car from last time. They're due in Bahrain. So we'll get as many points as we can here, and then obviously we'll make as many upgrades as we can in Bahrain. Still think I'm going to concentrate on the aerodynamics side of things, though. And what we haven't been looking at really so far this career mode is obviously the power unit and the gearbox that we now have to manage from race to race. Nothing looking too bad at the moment. A few units in 30-40% range, but we're going to keep the same engine on the car for this time out in China, and then we'll probably keep it for practice as well in Bahrain, and then we'll switch over to a fresh power unit, all of the components most likely for the next time out. But as we get onto the practice session, then track acclimatization, we could only manage green. The tyre wear run, we got purple, so that was some nice points in the bag. Then on to the fuel saving, again nicely into the purple. Track acclimatization, I was quite surprised I only got green, but then I seem to drive a different line around China every year, which is not helpful for track acclimatization, where you got to stick to a certain run. Practice 2 was very wet. We went out for a brief installation lap, but upon looking at the weather, we saw that it was going to be dry for the rest of the weekend, so there was no real point in risking the car doing anything then. So qualifying run, we were nicely high up the order and got purple there. And then for the new strategy run, we got some good data on the board and easily passed that. So practice went pretty well, as many points as we could get. Obviously apart from that track acclimatization. Again, I just don't drive a very good line around China. I wasn't bothered about, 20 points in the long run. It's not going to make too much of a difference. But the car feeling okay. China is pretty tricky anyway. I really struggle at this track. I don't like the track. I don't like racing it. I'm not too bad in terms of speed anyway. But so that's all the practice programs done. Again, no real updates we can do till next time out. So hopefully the upgrades that we've got for Bahrain will go on target and won't fail like they can do this year. But anyway, into Q1. First lap, first time around. We're into a provisional 4th place, and we seem to have a bit of a problem at the moment for Q1. The AI are incredibly fast in qualifying this year. We just about squeaked through in 14th, but we were about 9th when we ended the session, and then all of a sudden we get bumped down to 14th with cars that weren't even on the track and shouldn't be able to complete a lap. But after an okay run in qualifying 2 that put us P9, we went out right at the end of the session to make sure that we didn't get outdone by anybody, and we crossed the line and improved the time massively to a 1:35.9, which puts us 6th and through to Q3. If we can try and repeat that in Q3, then we should do well. But we're into Q3, which is the main thing. I'm just going to let you see the sights and sounds of our final qualifying run. So as we come around the final corner and the run down to the line, is it going to be good enough for 6th place? It's going to be 7th. It's really the best of the rest. That's what we're hoping to do this early in the season until we get some serious upgrades on the car. We're actually 4 tenths quicker than we were in qualifying 2, so we found a good bunch of time. I don't think we could have gone much quicker. It's a very neat lap, and we're nicely ahead of the 2 Williams there. Once again, Checo Perez not making it through, but 7th, we can definitely have a good run at some points from there.
Joining me once again to take you through this race is the effervescent Anthony Davidson, and I'm very much looking forward to it getting underway. You raced here, of course, didn't you, back in your Super Aguri days in that infamous Chinese Grand Prix of 2007?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't last that long, though, unfortunately. Qualifying had gone pretty well, but my brakes failed quite early in the race, around lap 10 or 11, something like that. And of course, back in 2004, I was the very first Formula 1 driver to complete a lap of this circuit. Just thought I'd mention that for you, Crofty. You like a good stat. It's a fairly tough circuit on the brakes here, though. You know, there's that long back straight down into turn 14, and then you got turns 6 and 11. They're quite heavy as well. On top of that, managing your front tyre wear is always a challenge around here, so there's a lot to keep in mind during the Grand Prix.
Okay then, ready for race number 2. It's looking like a 1 or a 2 stop strategy on the board. 1 stop is what we're going to be favouring unless anything strange happens at the beginning of the race. It did us so well in Australia. But as we're underway then, we look to make a good start and maybe finally make our way into that fabled top 6 off the line. We outdragged Ricciardo down to turn 1, and we're going to try and go around the outside of Valtteri Bottas through the long sweeping right-hander. We lose the back end a little bit as we try to make a run on Verstappen. That lets Bottas come back around the outside of us. It's going to be wheel to wheel round turn 2 and on the long run down to turn 3. Still wheel to wheel. Bottas having a little weave there to try and put me off, but he's not going to be able to outbrake us there. We carry the speed round the outside and we're nicely through into P5. Really don't think we're going to be able to hold this, but as we go on to lap 4 now, we are starting to fall back from Verstappen. Bottas is keeping us under pressure all the way. We seem to have just about the pace on the midfield, which is what we want. This Force India should be able to get P7 if nothing else happens to the top 3 teams. That's what we're going to be aiming for every race, and then we just need to make the car go forward to make other runs. For the first few laps here, we were just trying to break the toe on Bottas. We thought we'd fight him for as long as we can. Obviously, if we're going to lose time, there's no point fighting too hard, because I don't think over the course of a race we're going to have the pace for these guys. But as we see now, Bottas got a much closer run down the long straight into lap 5, and he's going to have a look down the inside. He's a little bit later on the brakes. We try and hold it around the outside, but at this point our super soft tyres are starting to show some wear, and Valtteri on the more durable soft tyres can outdrag us down to the final corner, and that's the move done for him. We fall back to P6. We just need to stabilise things now. It's the midfield group behind that we're trying to keep ahead of. But as we get on to lap 7, Raikkonen is now in the pits, and on the following lap, Vettel also pits. So both Ferraris in and looking like they're on a 2-stop strategy. So we shouldn't give up hope on that top 6 just yet. If we can stick to our 1-stop strategy, we may be able to get track position and hold them off. But as we go on to lap 9 now, we held a nice gap to those behind. The top 6 slowly pulled away, apart from those that have pitted. But we're going to make our one and only stop of the race onto the medium tyres. And yeah, China is normally very bad on tyre wear, so I thought we'd be okay with the mediums till the end. And durability wasn't the problem, as we rejoin now in 18th, just behind Stoffel Van Dorn. But as you will see later on in the race, the problem with the 1-stop here wasn't the durability or necessarily the speed, it was the warm-up. I could just never get temperatures into these. I'm not quite as aggressive as I need to be at the moment with the traction control. I'm stroking it around a little bit, and that's causing a few issues with tyre warm-up on the hardest compounds. But later into the lap now, we have a run on the sitting duck that is the McLaren Honda of Stoffel Van Dorn. We make the move nice and easy, and you'll see there's a big old train up ahead, and we nearly collect Fernando Alonso on the way through. And obviously this group of cars are stuck behind someone that has not yet pitted. And as we try and shape Alonso up for a move down the straight, he pulls into the pits, which puts us off a little bit and means that we run wide. And it means that Van Dorn's going to try and get a run on us down to turn 1. But it's actually Hulkenberg that's a danger as Van Dorn gets boxed in. And Hulkenberg's got the overspeed to go down the inside into turn 1. But it's a long, long way through turn 1. And we cut back down the inside and just about hold that position on Hulkenberg. As you can see here, Van Dorn getting boxed in. We were very slow off the final corner, having gone so wide. Hulkenberg makes the brave move down the inside. We're just about able to cut back without losing our front wing. And it's pretty easy on turn 1 in China, to be honest, to overtake the AI, because they take such a wide line, you just stick it down the inside. But as we move on to lap 14 now, everybody's shaken out in terms of where they pitted from. So we're now back in that net 7th place. But again, we're really struggling on these medium tyres to get them warmed up, and we lose the back end just about. Keep it off the grass and out of the barrier. That does allow Hulkenberg through into that net 7th place. I think there's still one of the front running cars that's yet to pit, or there might have been a retirement. I'm afraid I can't remember. So we think this is a net 8th position at the moment. So we've lost a little bit of ground and we're really struggling on these medium tyres. But Hulkenberg is going to come in now, as does Verstappen for a second stop. So this promotes us to 5th place, and everything is looking pretty good for finally getting into that top 6 in only our second race. But the major concern at the moment is the internal combustion engine and the energy store. Mostly the internal combustion engine, which is at up to 66% at this point. Now I don't have enough testing and I haven't seen to know when. I presume there's a random section of the reliability that is when it can go bang. Maybe it's between 80 and 100, 70 and 100, I don't know. But we're a little bit worried at this point. It should be okay though, we hope. We just concentrate on trying to get some heat into these tyres and stay ahead of Verstappen. At this point he's around about 8 seconds behind us, but again, just no temperature in the rears, light up the rears coming out of the penultimate corner. And we lose all that advantage we had on Verstappen. Verstappen was already a lot quicker at this point of the race. And that 8-second gap, which had come down from about 12 seconds since the stop, is now reduced as we cross the line. You can see to just 2 seconds. And it's going to be very difficult to hold off a charging Dutchman in that Red Bull round here, especially on these tyres. And as we move on to lap 23 now, you can see Verstappen is tucked right up under our rear wing. And we're a little bit caught between two minds how hard we fight him, how much energy, fuel and engine mode we use, because 6th place would still be an incredible result, and we do want to make sure we see the finish as well. But Verstappen can't quite get the move done on us. We lock up as we try and outbrake him into the hairpin, and then he's just going to hit us. I thought maybe I'd cut him off. I thought maybe I'd turned in on him and he was a bit further up than I'd thought. But as we're going to see from the replay, from Verstappen's perspective, he's taking a look down the outside. We cover the inside and outbrake him, lock up, but we get it stopped. And he stops there, and then he just accelerates into us. Doesn't even lose a bit of front wing. But that's not going to matter, because the very next lap, Felipe Massa's Mercedes engine lets go down the main straight, and we couldn't be any luckier, because Massa was on a cracking pace here. He was even looking to chase down Verstappen. And there was going to be nothing we could have done about him ahead of us. So we're promoted back to 6th, a little bit lucky. But sometimes that's name and game in F1, and I'm sure we will lose an engine at some point this season with these new rules. I'm wearing these Mercedes engines a lot quicker than they should be, and we're either going to need a replacement or we're going to have to run one to the bone at some point. But as we move on to lap 27, we're just trying to look after the engine now. It's now ticked over to 70% on the internal combustion engine. And again, I don't know when it's going to go bang. But we've got a nice little gap back to Palmer. He's holding everybody else up. Well, actually, no, he's a little bit clear, so we're okay. But as we move on to lap 28, we're just short shifting all the way, just stroking this engine round to try and get to the finish. And it doesn't look like anything is going to get in our way of a great 6th place finish here. Again, nice and smooth down into the penultimate corner. Really easy on the throttle, which is going to use all of that gap we've got back to Palmer as he defends actually into the hairpin. But we're going to come around the final corner, short shifting all the way, little jig in, excitement and celebration as we cross the line in 6th for some incredible points. And once again, the one stop is proving a little bit overpowered this year. I think we're pretty much on a pace with the front of the midfield. But the biggest problem has got to be that the AI are doing 2 stops when really they don't need to. And it's actually putting some of the front runners back into our path, and meaning that we never really race anybody that's close to pace on us. People like Hulkenberg that we were wheel to wheel with for a lot of that race just got completely knocked out of the running as Palmer celebrates the most unlikely of things, some World Championship points. And Hamilton looking incredibly animated on the podium here. There's not much change to the podium animations this year. Hamilton does seem a bit more excitable, which he normally is when he's out winning a race against Vettel this year. But yeah, it's meaning that drivers we should be fighting are being taken out of contention. Hopefully there'll either be circuits that we have to do a 2-stop on, or the AI will slowly, go towards the 1-stops. You can see there Hulkenberg couldn't get back past Palmer, and he was about on pace, a little bit quicker than us at the end of the race, and he would have been pressuring us if he'd got past Palmer, but he should have really been on a 1-stop and been fighting us. As we move on to the standings then, which we forgot to check in the first race, we're P7 at the moment, best of the rest with 10 points, level on points with Jolyon Palmer. I mean, there's quite a few bugs with this game already, but that's the most disgusting. Jolyon Palmer with 10 World Championship points and 8th place in the championship. What is going on? And we're just behind Renault as a result of that. We're 3 points behind them in 5th. 3 points clear of Williams. 4th place is what we're going to be aiming for this season, I think. If we can challenge Red Bull towards the end of the year, that would be great. But at the moment, it looks like we've got a fight on our hands with Renault. And the main reason for that is Sergio Perez's lack of point scoring at the moment. But all in all, a very good second race. Again, we seem to be on pace with where we should be. I'm thinking about turning it up a couple of notches. Just so that we get... If the AI are always going to be doing those 2 stops, and we're going to... Or the ones that we should be fighting do 2s, and we can do a 1-stop every race, to be honest, we probably should bump it up a couple of points so that we get some fights with the midfield. I mean, 7th is where this car should be aiming for every race, but at the moment it seems we're in a little bit in no man's land between the Red Bulls and the rest of the field, and there's not going to be too much exciting racing from that. So let me know what you guys think, whether we should put the difficulty up a little bit. I'm thinking maybe up to 92, 93. It's going to make it very, very tough in qualifying, but it means in the race we should get much more of a fight on our hands. I'll hold off in recording episode 3 a little bit, just to get some feedback on that and see what you guys think. But all in all, hopefully we'll be getting some nice upgrades next time in Bahrain that will bring us a little bit closer. Actually, we're still just behind Williams, so we need to go ahead of them first. And after the practice in Bahrain, we should be able to make some nice upgrades as well. Aerodynamics, I think, is what we're going to still concentrate on. I'm not too sure on the power units. We could upgrade their reliability and the durability of a lot of those components, because it looks like we're going to fall a little bit short. But I think I'd rather concentrate on the outright pace of the car and maybe take a penalty once or twice towards the end of the season. I don't really mind doing that if it means that we're going to have a quicker car at that point in time. So, as always, I hope you've enjoyed this second episode. I hope you're enjoying this career mode. Do let me know your thoughts on the race and the career mode in general down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button if you have enjoyed it as well. Check Co-op with Rage is coming soon. We're doing weekly live streams at the moment, not really on a set day, but keep an eye out on the page and on Twitter for those. They've been doing really well. A lot of you joining us there, so thank you for that. And if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world. We've just hit 250, and it's an incredible feeling. So hopefully we can keep that going. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.